start recording here and share my screen. Was I already streaming? Oh, I already was. Still getting used to Discord for this. Here we go. And that's right, we have like the lower, slightly lower resolution. Okay, is that showing up okay for you guys?
Yeah.
I'll try not to pop my scroll in and out. So here is the mixed modalities for in terms of research that I had played with. If you kind of, I wrote this up many, many years ago of all the different ways you can interact with the AR, VR system. So from having like a stage with live performers to having like a puppeteer, someone who's using we used the leap motion a lot for finger tracking at one point. I was like really big on the finger tracking thing. Live motion capture suits, which Yuna and Dorothy and Raiden have been getting into. Hoping to see some cool mocap animation soon. Do some maybe creature suits. I want to bring in some stilts and some leg and arm extensions and do some monsters. Face tracking and just a regular kind of standard mocap body acting center, and then how to have like a almost like a little MC system. I have like a little DJ booth one. Maybe it's not in here, but this is what I was had been applying to grants for some years ago when we were actually pretty successful. I think it was at Santa Clara, and quite a few students got some grants and went on to work for Epic at the time. It's like 10 years ago. Um, so just kind of segueing that into it'd be nice to play around over the summer with some miniature augmented. I think that's maybe time's right. I've tried it every few years. I'll try it and see if the tracking's decent. So it'd be nice to we'll get like a nice table set up, like a kind of miniatures D&D scope one, and then if we can get any particles or any D&D effects to actually overlay it through a whatever viewer. So kind of a side note, but I just wanted to put it in there because if we do the grant mega grant application and start looking at some of the other stuff, I was going to do like a page or two of that. But anyway, for like curricular reasons and for the open development of the project to use it as like a learning training, but also to get the a nice portfolio piece and get a fun playable level done for everyone's reel and maybe go beyond. I'm looking at this as more of a story and character based game. So there's types of games, and this game's kind of heavily leans on having some kind of character and some kind of story. So I think that's one development pathway where you have the act structure and different characters developed. Whoops. And I am revisiting the old watercolors and some of these older plates that are already done in Photoshop. So I have those uploaded as well as the basic interactions. So this is what I was looking at maybe to do for the first jam today to get the first level is figuring out what our exact jump heights were, what the actual jump distances were, and then having the objectives clear, like what type of little things you want to jump on and crush, what things you want to stop or destroy, the polluted pieces, and then do a little pickup for the good ones. So these are like having the screen be closer and then having the screen zoom back as you jumped higher. I think was one of the first things that would make the Great Forest like these real giant caverns and chasms doing like big mega like Hulk jumps through the level. I thought would be fun. Then we could start with a small room and see what we currently have, and then expand it. So this is just a thought if that's something that um, would make sense for the first level. I have these parts as well. Let's see, where's my Photoshop that I started updating? That's what I was doing last night and this morning. Here we go. So I brought in our new model. So it's like a little scrunchy version. And I was looking at just about how far away to put the camera and how far we'd have it zoomed up in game. And then if we did any extreme close ups, like if we wanted to stop and do like a dialogue or like a handing of an item or some kind of storytelling moment, level transition. Um, and then for this one, I was going to do some speed sculpts for the stems and the big mushrooms, like some flatter platform ones where you kind of land and you assume you walk normally or have your little hop bouncy walk on there, and then the big fat, almost like balloon trampoline ones where you hit them and it launches you way in the air. The original ones I just doodled like a little sketch, so that'd be if any artists on the team and design wanted like what does a good spore cluster look like and what does a bad spore cluster look like, and I just took the same one and just recolored it. At the time I was just going really fast, like a uh, you know red and green, whatever, gray ones. So for these ones, it kind of segued into getting the pipeline down. So I have um, some visual effects as well. I thought the mists, I have a bunch of these mist alpha screens. So I thought we could get like the lower altitude. We could do like a layer over the top of the atmospheric gradient that kind of comes with the atmospheric fog. We could add some of our own little Niagara effects and make the green mist, or the lower you go, the poison meter might damage you. I thought that'd be another. We already have the volume built, so we just got to maybe give a nice visual cue, like visual effect to go along with it. So maybe that's something. And all of these like tasks are like I can jump in and play around with any and all of these, like a little Niagara particle, a little pickup particle, a little destructible particle to go with, and then maybe we talk to Steven if a particular sound effect when you crunch a bad one, or a particular sound effect when you pick up a good one, right? Your basically your coin bling. So those are kind of the core basics, I think, that would be good to look into. And here's how far I got. So I already have this. That was awesome. That Jake and Josh pretty much pioneered way ahead of the design and art team early on, which is really cool. So we have all these little interactions. So I think going through the blueprints and just make sure everyone knows where everything is. I think between Justin, Una, Dorothy, Ray, like all of us non-programmer types, I think we could look at the blueprints and pick apart and maybe be able to chip in and like make it, modifications and additions, and maybe expose a few of the basic parameters so that they're available. Like if you want to make it do more damage, less damage, have a larger radius, I think everyone can help out making some of those little things that'll let us make a lot of demo levels faster. So I built some of these when I did have my computer working. I was pretty productive last semester for those few weeks. So I was able to make kind of a quick mock-up of like the redwood tree size, like the really huge, monstrous fungoid forest for the background. And I was able to get that into the current level, as well as you can see Armiligus hiding back there. He's like the big, where's the big head in here? I'm trying to zoom in and out too much. Here's the little model kit room. So you can see I have the model kits for these done. So the basic mushrooms that would have the larger caps to launch you, the ones that would have a stem that kind of swivel in and out like interactable, where they actually move in and out of the platforming area. So if there's some way to, we could do some sequencers, like I think all the artists, everyone on the team can play around with those too, in terms of like where we put them and how they come in and out of the playable level, and what kind of rhythms and fun kind of platforming interactions those might serve for us. So these are done in ZBrush. These I was going to use in the Mike's 3D substance class from Monday. I was going to take all of these, just do a quick substance painter so they look like game ready, since I'm doing that anyway. I also went through my library, so all of these pieces are actually done parts. So I have all these kind of fun, kind of weird Heikel style, like almost like barnacle looking tileable textures and weird looking plants. I have some of them are really old, so some I have the alpha I put into like back when we used to use cards only. But what I planned on doing is taking all of these older ZBrush models and crunching them down and just using nanite. Now that we have nearly unlimited polygons, we should have a nice lush set of foliage at least for the forest. So I'll have this in the formal and the lessons for students as well, like grasses to shrub level size to like small saplings to bigs. Like there's like a sizing of categories that we can make PCG and like kind of like prefabs for Unity. We can make little clusters so we could do some decorating as well and make some decorative pieces out of these. These are some of the other barnacle coral ones I was playing with. So I made little alpha stencils out of them. So I should be able to bring these into Substance. This was back when Substance first came out, and it was super buggy. So I'm hoping to get this pipeline where these all get like a Substance pass and it'll pretty much look like publishable ready assets. Um, but so I'm going to replace my older Photoshop file, which was this one, which these are really janky now. I'm kind of embarrassed to show them, but they are with, I was literally just grabbing like little custom brushes and going stem, cap, boom, boom, and doing like the, what do you call the things that fall off the top, the scales, or the little pieces that fall off the top of a cap. And then I was going to make another set of pieces just for the gills, which underneath. So I'm really going to break all of the mushrooms into like 4 or 5 parts, like the cap, the gills underneath the cap, the seedlings that fall out, the scales that crumble off the top, and then the stems, which I can then rig, and we could have all different shapes and sizes and have them animate and things like that. So each of those elements are pretty much. Oh, I also have a huge PureRef. PureRef is like so simple, but it does have a weird left, middle, right mouse button interaction from all the other programs I still. I also have a giant model kit of, you can see right here how many of them are in there, of all the different boulders and different size boulders. So I think I have about 20 of them, from little rubble piles to small rocks to medium rocks, and they're all named right, like boulder to large boulder to cliff. So we have a really nice ready to go model kit of rocky formations to mix with the foliage and fungoid formations for the forest. So I thought it'd be fun to hopefully through Substance to the class, I'll do like the Substance Designer, which sets up the actual material correctly to take tileable textures, and then we could just spread them in there and do some like kind of industry standard for text painting and materials distribution without each object having to have its own custom texture map. Each one's gonna that's kind of, I don't think I have a graphic for that yet. I kind of, that's what these textures are here, is bringing in the tileable textures. I should break out some extra, like having Substance Designer shader module setup, and then the Substance Painter texture materials, and then the next phase would be Unreal, and then that's where I had stopped. I think Josh and I were talking about looking at Slate and some of the newer Unreal shaders that are like super high level, like auto body, like kind of film ready. I don't know if they're really game ready or not. We'll kind of maybe find out and play with them, but we should be able to use the same shader networks from the stuff that I already have in ZBrush and bring in through Substance. And these don't look too good here. I just was doing real quick screencasts. What's really nice though with PureRef, which helps, like this is like a godsend for me, is that let me just show you here. I have my little PureRef. Just these shortcuts here is it will find wherever, if you hit Control Shift O, it actually shows me where. If I go here and hit Control Shift O, it actually opens where it is located on my computer, which is like, ah, so I have one place like where I know if I put it here, it's going to find it for me. I'm not going to have to go dig through my folders every time I go to hunt down. Because you can imagine these assets, like that's just the rocks. There's, I think maybe like 30 of them in there. Same thing with the plants. There's about 20 or 30. So there's a little bit over 100 assets that I finally got like wrangled together to populate our first level with. But the big ones here and the main platformy, like what you're actually jumping on, I think using this motif still of just boxing it out to the right scale and really getting our first level from the start to end, or at least, or however far we want it to go from left to right and up and down and vertical, and then just take it from there. That'd be like the first somewhat playable level to shoot for today, if possible. And how we collaborate on that and pull from Perforce and just get a little rhythm going. And I think then as the semester goes on and each of these tutorials get done, then we'll see them like, get nicely done in the game. I was going to do Miss Maz, and then if Yuna is finishing up Shroomy, I was going to do a speed sculpt of Shroomy today in ZBrush. And anything else? If you guys come up with some cool concepts for the pickups or the destructibles, we could whip something up, and I'll sculpt it up in ZBrush real quick and drop it in there, and I think it'll look pretty decent. Maybe throw some shaders and particles on there. So that's everything I had.
Very nice.
Yeah. Be fun to do a little cityscape with the model kits. What's the horn? Is it that horn? How do you do that in Discord? It's from our D&D game. Um, but yeah, does that sound? Wow. Yeah, I thought like yeah, that was the noisy one.
Hilarious.
That's what my artificer character uses with his little gnome blowhorn in our D&D game. Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
that's the one. Yeah, I feel like let's see if Unreal actually opened. Yeah, we're here. So I don't know, like should we like make a new level, like a fresh one, and like call it? We had like the little. Did you already go through that to start, Dusty? Like the drop and like the little script sequence. Did you get a chance to
Yeah,
look
and
at
that
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 yet?
was one of the big things I was talking about was trying to see about getting that in engine and seeing like how the pullout would work, and that's how we got to the talking about trimming, pulling back, and things like that. But
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
just getting like I had described it as we haven't actually come out of it from our conversation, but I liked the idea of it as kind of before the drop being kind of like that first third of the very first Mario world, where it's just like there's one Goomba and a bunch of super obvious glowing blocks, and it's like if you're dying here, it's because you don't understand how a video game works. So please do this until you understand enough to actually go to the game, which is past this.